Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Business in Calgary podcast powered by Sonic Coaching. I'm your host, Oliver Basner. I am actually quite delighted to be sitting here today with Nicole Leitch. She's the founding partner of Misura Chartered Professional Accountants here in Calgary. She and the firm that she started love working with business founders and owners and have experience in corporate tax planning, financial advisory consulting, compilations and reviews, and personal tax, and quite a bit more. So, welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So let's jump right in. How did it all start? Did you always want to start your own firm? Like, how did
No.
that get going?
I didn't. I started working, of course, like every other accountant probably has, for somebody else. I was in public practice. I started in one of the big firms downtown and then moved to another, at that point in time, it was a CA firm and yet another CA firm. So I had different experiences over the years. I did my learning from them. And then my aunt called me up one day. Now, my aunt is also an accountant. She was in public practice for years herself. And she said, "You should start your own." And me not knowing what I was getting into went, "Yeah, let's do that." And what she actually meant is she wanted me to come work with her. I had just written my designation test. Right. So I actually went and worked for my aunt for a few months. But she goes, "I'm going to keep you at the same wage even though you've written the designation and you've got it and you've passed, but I'll give you all the materials to start your own firm. And so you don't have to have that outlay of expenses to start with." So she helped me for about 9 months. I got started. I worked for her. As I increased my client base, I decreased the time working for her. And within a year, I was out on my own, in my own office.
Wow, great story.
Well, I appreciate my aunt giving me the mental kick in the butt that I needed to get there.
Well, and it sounds like, and I've often said this too, with leaders, like sometimes leaders, and in this case, she was a leader to you, leaders, need to see, the potential and the greatness in their people. She saw the greatness and potential in you as a niece and gave you that little bit of a springboard and so you could step into that space.
Yeah, I so appreciate what she did for me. She has now retired herself and is traveling around North America in her little motorhome, I believe. But yeah, wonderful lady. I wouldn't have done it without her.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, I had a little look on your website, including yourself. You have 4 CPA accountants in the firm here. That's a lot of brain power, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. Tell our listeners, what separates you from your competitors? How do you define, because accounting is accounting is accounting, and how do you separate yourself? How do you distinguish yourself?
It's funny, I keep coming back to this over the years. Accountants are typically known to be dry, boring, very analytical, standoffish. I love what I do. I really, really do. I have a passion for it. And so when I get somebody new on the phone, I don't just say, "Okay, let's talk accounting and tax." I say, "Tell me what's really hurting. Let me be that buffer between you and CRA." And by the end of it, we've started talking retirement planning, and I've started explaining. Right. But I also try to break it down into, okay, let's talk to a person about something that they don't really understand. They're trying, but this isn't their area of expertise. And it's not to say I dumb it down, because I don't. These people aren't dumb. It's just right. I have the expertise and knowledge, and they're trying to learn it. So I'm trying to talk to them not as an accountant, but as a person to person. And I think that connection with people, that let's talk tax, but in a not accountant way, actually clicks with a lot of people. So I'm the person who talks to all my clients mostly. There is other people to help me out, but oftentimes I'm the one who's doing the talking because I like doing the talking. I'm good at it. I connect.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, and as you know, I've had several accounting firms myself that I've dealt with over the years, and it's amazing how many of them they'll get back to their clients in a timely manner. Right? Is you leave a message and you don't hear from anybody.
I think that's not just accountants. I think it's a lot of professionals, unfortunately. My goal is to return calls within 24 hours during business days.
Right.
Actually, that's the goal for our entire firm. We've got an office policy for that. Now, having said that, I also in tax season put on my voicemail that it can take me up to a week to respond, and I beg my clients patience in this one because tax season gets super busy for accountants.
Of course it does, yeah.
But I still try very hard to get back to people. If they email me, I'm trying to email them back. If they call, we try to call them back. And it's that communicate how they want to be communicated. So yes, we do try very hard, and that communication is very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have we missed a few? Probably. No one's perfect. Everybody's going to miss it. But then I'm going to get on the phone and go, I am sorry, I'm 3 days late.
Right.
I apologize.
Yeah, excellent. You know, you've grown this firm over the last few decades,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I'm sure there's been some challenges that came with that you had to deal with. You know, maybe again, you know, we can always learn from these challenges, and our listeners that are listening can learn from from your mistakes or the challenges that you've had to deal with. You know, you've had some tough times, I'm sure, over the years. What's been one of those tough times, and how'd you get through it?
I'm just laughing right now. Which time would you like to know about?
Well, let's pick, for the first 18.
I think every entrepreneur finds out that you go through a bit of cycle. It never stops being tough. It just varies, and you get used to a certain thing. One of the first big ones for me was when I first bought a client list.
Right.
It was the first one I ever did. And I had built my own practice up to a certain revenue amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought a client list, which was pretty much the same revenue. So I doubled overnight, theoretically.
Well, and for our listeners, buying a client list in your world is really an acquisition, pretty much.
Pretty much, yes. And I walked in never having done this. I inherited staff that I didn't know. I inherited a whole bunch of clients that I didn't know. I like to get to know my clients. I want to know their names, their spouses' names, their kids, what's their goals. Now do it with 200 people all at once. And I'm just making up a number, 200.
Yes.
I can't. But you can't do it in a day. And I felt like I was failing because I didn't know these people.
Right.
And you can call them all you want, but to establish a relationship takes more than just a phone call. And over the first year, I had staff that didn't know me super well and didn't know our policies, and it was a brand new change to them. They quit. And I had to deal with clients quitting or not even giving me a chance because the old owner was a male and I'm a female.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, my revenues went from what I was used to, fairly healthy, to I think I made $1,500 that year.
In profit.
In profit. And I was tearing out my hair. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I couldn't see the forest through the trees, as it were.
Right.
And so I started working with this amazing coach. And within a year, I think it was, we had totally changed that around, switched it, and I was profitable again.
Right.
Healthy profit as well. And we had gotten rid of some of the people that were holding me back. And I ended up keeping at least 60 to 70% of those clients overall. And somebody said, that's actually okay.
That's a good retention rate.
Yeah. Since then, I've bought about 4 more. One went even worse than that, but I had developed a different plan of how to pay for it, so I wasn't out of pocket as much. Mm-hmm. And the other 3, I actually have a retention of probably close to 95% on those 3, which is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
So yeah, you learn as you go through. But that first one, oh my goodness, I remember sitting on the floor thinking, I know this, but I feel like I don't.
Right.
So thank goodness for business coaches.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Your website says good things, right at the homepage, good things happen when we work together. What does that mean? I mean, I was expecting, to go to the website and everybody else talks about, tax and CRA and all those things that accountants do, but yours talks about good things happen when we work together.
An accountant shouldn't just be there for tax and accounting. this is a financial plan that we're trying to put together, and I'm just a piece of the puzzle. So I start with working with my clients, and this is one thing I beg and plead for them to come in and talk to me or talk to our team regularly. What's your goals for retirement? What's your goals for profit? Where are you taking this company to? Do you want to sell it? Do you just want to kind of grow it to a certain level so you can have, I don't know, extra time? Mm-hmm. I have to figure that part out myself. So what are your goals? And then I want to talk to your lawyer if they're involved. How do we structure this now? A financial advisor. How do we work with your personal retirement investments or in the company? And so it's just a piece of the puzzle. That's all an accountant is. We're working for you to make that puzzle as pretty as possible for you. And everyone's different. So good things happen when we work together. I don't know every answer, but I know tax. So I need your input, client's input, as much as other professionals as well to bring it all together and make it click and keep it on track on an ongoing basis.
Excellent. Yeah, I really like that actually. I mean, it's more of a holistic approach to the client and their business as opposed to we're here to do, your year end, we're here to do your personal tax for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the funny thing too is I always get people calling me and say, well, my neighbor told me, or my friend said I could do this. Well, that's great. Your friend or neighbor might be able to, but your puzzle is different than theirs. So let's talk about you.
Okay, I got to ask you something based on that. Can I write off a llama?
Maybe. It depends.
Depends on my business?
Absolutely. What is that llama doing for your business? Is it actually, I don't know, are you making sweaters out of llama? I don't know too much about llamas, obviously.
Apparently.
So it depends what you're trying to. I've had crazy requests. Can I write off a grave plot? Can I write off a plane? Bring it on. I love those questions. But my question is always going to be, what are you doing with it? How is it increasing the profit of your own business? And if it's increasing the profit or a long-term profit, yeah, you could probably write it off. But let's talk.
Well, I tried to throw you a little bit here with that question, and I didn't. So obviously you've had some crazier questions. I love that.
I absolutely have. I love them.
So, I know you work with entrepreneurs and business founders. What's a common pitfall that you see in that world? So our listeners that are maybe looking at getting started with a business or have a business they're running, what's the common sort of thread that you see in terms of a mistake or a pitfall?
Oh, I've seen a few over the years. One that I see come up when there's a business that's setting up and they need to buy equipment.
Right.
They often do it out of the profits of the company. So let me give an example. Company starts running and they start generating monies.
Right.
Wonderful, great. And then they take those monies and they get that check for $5,000. I'm just making up numbers.
Sure.
And they, instead of putting that check in the bank for their own salaries or subcontractors, or what, they take it and they buy a tool with it. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. When you're setting up, go and leverage your monies better. Go and get BDC on board. Go and get a bank loan. Now, these aren't easy to get when you're setting up. So get creative. Go and lease it instead. Don't be afraid of a healthy debt. Healthy.
Right.
Okay.
Not that trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's not a good one there. Well, unless the trip to Hawaii is going to land you a contract, that's phenomenal.
Of course.
Like I said, it depends.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people take all their profits, invest it back into the company, and then come to me and go, I'm really cash poor. Of course you are. Use the bank's money or financing company or leasing company's money for those first few years. It's not your typical approach because people are so afraid of debt, and I understand that. But when you're starting up, there's a healthy level of it, and you need to be able to keep operating and paying your operating expenses while you're still building your company.
Right.
So it's that building process, and the balance of the two is really hard, and most people shy away from debt.
Right. It's almost like that, that old saying, cash is king. It's not cash is king, cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king, and you've got to stay alive while you're building your business too.
And there's ups and downs when you're building.
Oh, heck yes. Some people have come to me and said, no, I've got enough cash reserves for at least the next 2 years. Kudos to you, but they're not the majority of people.
Right.
Most people start a business because they need it to live.
True.
I did.
Yeah.
I needed to put food on my table, and that's why I work.
Right.
So you've got to balance that cash flow too, and realize some clients won't pay you the next day. Receivables becomes a part of their entrepreneur's life, how to collect them.
Mm-hmm.
So come up with a plan for the receivables.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I do agree with you because, as you know, I do coaching and I coach businesses and companies. And, so often I see the receivables being so high, or on the other side, I see that, they're not even invoicing their clients quickly enough. So, there's receivables, but they're not even on the books yet, or they're on the books and the client hasn't received the invoice. And so, it's important to get on the one side, to get that money, the request out, and then on the other side, collecting it as quickly as you can.
It's really hard because when you start, you're wearing all the hats by yourself. And so many people say, well, I'm so busy doing the work, and that's lovely. But from the beginning, if you can set up that policy to get the receivables out,
Mm-hmm.
get that invoice out to the client, and then follow up with them as well. And it's hard. I know it's hard. I've been there. I forgot about it. I pushed it off for a few months myself. You make those mistakes when you start. But if you can get that policy in place and just bring it into your everyday or every week or every month schedule, do it. Do it.
Yeah, and doing the work is great, but if you're not getting paid, you're working for free, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You've got a pretty good team here.
I've got a phenomenal team.
You've got a great team here, and
Yeah.
so how tell our listeners, how important is it to surround yourself with the right team?
The people on my team make this company. This is not me. This is them. They are amazing people to work with. I've worked with different people in the past that have added so much. They're no longer here, whether they had different personal goals, career goals, whatever. They're still, when they were here, they were still a very important part of the team too. I wouldn't be here without my team. I love to talk, and I could spend all day talking to my clients, but then I'd get no work done. And the administrative, now I'm at the point where I don't do collections myself, very rarely, but I've got a team to back me up and do collections and put in those policies and procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So they are really the spine of the company. I'm just kind of the one that shows up and talks a lot.
So you're just the face? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. But it took years to get to that point. You
course it
can't
did.
start that way.
Right.
And everyone wants to be the face. Well, I've been in business since 2002. I've only become the face in the last few years.
Right.
So realize it takes, if that's your goal, it can't happen right off the bat. But geez, that team is everything. I wouldn't be here without them.
Wonderful. I have a couple of sort of questions I ask all my guests, and I want to jump into those because, there's always some good nuggets that we can glean from that. And so, if you look back, what advice would you give your younger self? If you were starting over again, what's that advice that you would give yourself?
So I am in a very interesting position because I have a lot of young accountants that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So my firm is geared to take accounting students and train them. And so I kind of look at that and go, what do I tell them? On the flip side, I also, because I'm buying some client lists right now, I have the older accountants that I'm purchasing those lists still working in the office with me. So I have the younger generation and I have an older generation. And the younger one tends to think they're learning from me, but I'm still learning from the one ahead of me. So what do I tell the younger students? It's freaking hard. It is incredibly hard. Whether you want to get your designation or you want to start a business, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my whole life, and it's 100% worth it. Do it. Put in the time. You're going to cry. You're going to wonder what you're doing. And if you're really driven, you can't give it up. And it's so worth it. Many years ago, I attended, it was kind of a networking event. This is, I think I was 1 or 2 years into this business. Actually, I just had my son, and my son is now over 21 years. So it was a long time ago. I got to attend a dinner. And this dinner included young entrepreneurs like myself, newly started, and it paired them up over a dinner with somebody who's been there and done it. And I got paired with somebody that's well known around Calgary. I'll call him just by his first name, Tony.
Right.
And so there was a group of 4 of us, including Tony and myself and 2 other people. We were having dinner, and a lot of what he said, he was a wonderful guy to have dinner with. And we were asking questions, and one of the pieces of advice he said to me, to all of us, is when you start out, the first 1 to 3 years, you're going to not have any money. You're going to wonder what you're doing. You're going to drain your savings. You're putting in all this time, and your money is gone. And yet something inside you won't let it go. And then it turns around about year 4 to 6, you're going to find all of a sudden the money is starting to come in. You're making what your friends in the same industry are making, but you're putting in way more time still. But you still can't give it up. Mm-hmm. Inside your head, you're going, logically, I could be going back into industry, right, work for somebody else, and make the same amount. But this is my baby. And he goes, around year 7 to 10, it clicks. And all of a sudden your revenues are going to come in and you get it. And now you're making more than the friends who are still in the industry. And they're going to come up to you and go, how'd you do it? It's hard work, but don't give up. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Having a business for myself over 20 years now, that timeline works phenomenally. I've seen so many other businesses do it as well. And everyone's a little bit different, but most businesses struggle in the beginning, kind of get better in 4 to 6. And for myself, years 7 to 10, I felt good. Right. The money was starting to come in. The time, it's still hard, but it's worth it. So starting entrepreneurs, it's hard. It is really hard. Do it. Do it anyways.
Well, and the other thing, just to come back to when we first started our conversation, Nicole, one of the things I heard you say is you love what you do. I think that passion is what keeps you going when the going gets tough. Right?
Yeah. If you ask me if I really want to keep doing this on April 30th, which is the end of tax season every year, you're going to get a really nasty look, actually, probably from me. And heck no, I'm done. I'm selling everything May 1st. I'm never going to sell it. I really do enjoy it. Being able to look around and kind of go, this is really cool. Okay, now what's the next challenge? That's fun. I really do love it. And if I can take that to the students out there and prove to them that accounting isn't boring, I'm going to keep doing it. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep learning my lessons from the people who have been there, done that, and surround myself with them. And I had a nugget of advice from one of them this morning. He was asked, because he's retiring, so he's older than me.
Yes.
I don't want to throw him under the bus. A lot of respect for this man, and he was asked once in a group situation, because he was the oldest one there, if he regrets anything he did. No. You make mistakes, but it's all about experience.
Of course you do.
So keep on experiencing life and do the mistakes. But they're not really mistakes. They're going to make you a stronger person in the end too. And that advice I just got this morning. So that was my piece of, that's kind of neat to hear too from somebody who's been there, done that. I love surrounding myself with people of all different walks of life because I keep learning from them.
Right. No, thank you for sharing that. You know, I have a philosophy, especially with, you know, the business that I'm in at Sonic Coaching, you know, that personal development and professional development are really one and the same. And so, you know, what's been your favorite self-development book or tool that you could recommend to our listeners?
I don't have a book that I've read. To be fair, I don't read business books very often. Books are a great way for me to escape. So I'm terrible when it comes to
For you, it's fiction and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. They're something I unwind to. So I don't read business books. Terrible me. That's a bad piece of advice. Don't take that one. But what I've learned over the years is don't do it by yourself. I've worked with a business coach 15 years now. And the lessons that I've learned from that person are life-changing. I've worked with a business partner who thinks differently than me. Well, don't be afraid to work with a business partner or somebody else, or get the help you need. Don't do it by yourself. Look at the experts when you need expert advice. Yes, it could cost you a bit, and it's worth it, because it's going to propel your business into the next world and open up different opportunities that you may not have ever dreamed about. Surround yourself by people who can help you of all walks of life.
Sounds like you're still doing that.
Absolutely. It's a never-ending thing.
Yes.
I think you can always learn from anyone. And that doesn't matter. I just said I have people in my office that are students to retiring. My students can teach me as much as somebody who's retiring. They just look at life differently. They have a different view on AI or digital, or they've learned something in school a lot more recently and I forgot about it. So it doesn't matter if somebody's junior. That's just a title. Learn from them as well. Listen to them. I think everyone has something they can teach.
Great advice. No, I really, really like that. Thank you for sharing that. You know, we're coming to the end of our time. And, you know, I know we're, you know, at the time of this recording, we're coming into tax season, right? And so what's that advice you have for the folks out there, you know, because nobody enjoys tax season, let's call it what it is. What's that advice you have for folks?
Are you talking taxpayers or are you talking accountants?
Well, I'm talking, you know, the people that are listening are probably the taxpayers, right? Whether it's personal or corporate, right? And we've got, you know, lots of both listeners, so.
Please be gentle on your accountants. I know everyone realizes, actually, the clients that I work with know tax season is hard on us. And I've had, and this is not apply for or an ask in any way, shape, or form, but I've had some wonderful people bring us lunches or chocolates or drinks or whatever, and I so appreciate it. But just even that, be patient when I don't call you back the next day, or give me a week. And people have been really wonderful on doing that. The big ask is the earlier you can get in, the better. And I'll give you a reason why. When it comes to personal taxes, really we've got 6 weeks to do them. And everyone goes, well, no, we've got way more. No, Canada Revenue Agency opens up their e-filing on, I think it's February 23rd this year. But slips, T4s, T5s, aren't due to come out until February 28th.
Correct.
So really you have to wait until you get all those slips. The next one, RSP contributions don't come out until March 15th. Mm-hmm. So you got to wait for them if you've contributed in the first 2 months. All right, so now we're March 15th. If you've got investments and they're held within a trust, and most people don't know when they're held within a trust, to be honest, you get a T3. Well, T3s aren't due to come out until March 31st.
Now we're down to 4 weeks.
We're down to 4 weeks. So the earlier you can gather your information and bring it into the accountant, the better. Don't assume it's all on CRA's website. Last year was a fiasco. Nothing was getting processed on time. But bring it in. Please don't bring it in the last 2 weeks. We are doing 12 to 14-hour days at least. I think last year we were pulling all-nighters the last few days. We were exhausted. And unfortunately, we're human. When exhaustion happens, mistakes happen. So if you can get it in between March 15th to April 15th, we will love you forever. That would make your accountant so happy.
And I'm guessing that doesn't include 2 big garbage bags full of receipts at that time.
I'm just going to give you a nasty look at this point. Yeah, if you can compile that information and add it up for us, that would be even better. I've had people bring in garbage bags. It's very rare. I usually try to hand them back and go, I'm going to charge you about $500 a bag. Nobody wants to pay that price. I've only had one person say it, just do it. So, yeah, if you can get it. The problem is if I say bring it in organized, everyone has a different definition of what organized is, and some people get scared, and they're so frozen by, oh, it's not well organized, that they never bring it in, and they keep spinning. So don't worry too much about the organization. We can walk you through that part. Just bring it in.
Yeah, it's better in than being concerned about not bringing it in, not looking good with your account.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
We're people too. We're going to help you out.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. Well, we're at the end of our time, so I've been chatting with Nicole Leitch, who's the founding partner here in Calgary of Misura Chartered Professional Accountants. Nicole, some great advice today. I mean, some great little nuggets as well about how you dealt with stress in the past, and so thank you for sharing all that wisdom.
Thank you for allowing me to. It's been a privilege.
So you've been listening to the Business in Calgary podcast powered by Sonic Coaching. I'm your host, Oliver Basner, and watch for our next podcast in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.